All right, we are back, and let's go ahead and jump right into the game. We have a lot to talk about at the end game, but I want to talk about where we're at right now. So, aloft above the battle, Night Scale, flanked by the player characters on brooms or on one very powerful magical flying frog, are sort of hovering above the battlefield. Now,
It's a debate of who is the most powerful among them.
the battle is going well for the dwarves. It seems that they are holding on. They are sort of breaking every attack that comes. Casualties are still heavy on both sides. And everyone begins to notice that the dawn is beginning to rise. Like the horizon is growing lighter. And I want to know, what are the player characters doing along with Nightscale in order to finish up this battle? And what you choose to do, and I might have you roll a couple of skill checks or something along those lines, but what you all do will determine the final result of this battle. So, what is it that you are all up to in the last minutes of the full moon?
How much? So Echo grew up in Neverwinter, where in the part of Neverwinter that has a lot of orcs. He doesn't speak orc, but does he know enough words to know flee as a command?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
Anybody who is especially Echo has not fought against orcs, but
Before this,
but no, like Prasert is an orc, right, or a half orc? Yeah, I assume that a few phrases will have come your way, so you can shout in Orcish, but don't expect any orc to know or to think that it's coming from an orc.
No.
Yeah.
So Echo suggests, I've got a trick if we want to just fly on down the middle and then make a presentation as we land on top of the walls. I've got a few tricks that'll help me survive that run. Everyone up for being a little dramatic?
Yes.
Night Scale, let's say you.
Nightscale has become sort of dour and taciturn since your rescue. After thanking you,
what I don't think Night Scale appreciates is that Night Scale is the latest adoptee.
Oh no.
Oh no.
He's gone entirely
bigger. He's gone bigger, y'all.
He is entirely aware of that, but Nightscale, if you hadn't noticed, is the emoist of emo kids and is going to instead, if you all are going to head towards the front gate, Nightscale is going to break off and start raking the back lines with more acid breath.
That works too.
In particular, he is going to target the ballista that fired the net that took him out of the sky, and he will reduce it to melted rubble.
Before he takes off to do that run, Echo will slap Bless on him and Ghost and Kretha.
Excellent. So let's talk a little bit. Now that you sort of part ways, you and Nightscale are in formation for a moment. He is going to go off to take down the ballista that took him down and continue to wreak havoc in the back lines. What are you all up to? Sven flying on a frog. Let's start there. We have a brightly colored, berobed Sven who is riding on the back of a magical flying frog. What are you up to over the course of the next several minutes, up to maybe an hour?
Because we are...
So what I'm suggesting is, as we're getting back to the walls and where the actual, two forces are meeting, is that Echo has an idea for a grand entrance, and then we start helping keep the line.
I could be throwing down a couple more illusions.
Do you still have the cards?
Do you still
Yeah,
have the cards?
Are they still sorted?
Are they the heart of the card?
Hell yes. Let's start there. That's one of my favorite things ever. So go ahead and pull me as many cards as you want to pull. It's up to you. But don't do it just yet because I need to pull up the correct table.
I know exactly what I'm going to do.
As part of the grand entrance.
Okay. We're gonna start with Kretha.
Yes, as part of the grand entrance.
Give me however many cards you want to draw. Tell me what you get.
All right. So first card is Jack of Diamonds.
The Jack of Diamonds. So the Jack of Diamonds is an assassin. So you're able to drop the card. It's not a big beast, but it is. I'm imagining Artemis Entreri only because I'm a big fan of R.A. Salvatore's work, but like a black clad assassin will begin to terrorize the battlefield in a 30-foot radius around the card and begin to scatter some of the orcs who try to take attacks at it but are unable to actually attack. I'm imagining Mark Hamill like reprising his role as Luke Skywalker, but only a projection, right? So he is so this assassin is dodging all attacks. Give me another card.
Two of Diamonds.
The Two of Diamonds. It's Meepo.
Another assassin.
So
What?
the two of
Keep calling
What?
on the small ones.
I'm sorry, what?
the Two of Diamonds is a kobold, is all it's described. But knowing what Kretha would think
It
of,
would be Meepo because
So-
that's the
so it's a
kobold.
kobold, but it's a kobold in shining armor bearing
Oh,
a
yeah.
two-handed sword of legend that begins menacing the orcs around him. So I would like you, Jen, to go ahead and make me let's go with an intimidation check, and because you're using the magical item, go ahead and take advantage.
Advantage. Intimidation, you said?
Yes, please. Beautiful. A 17 is excellent. Let's go ahead and move on. Calder, Jeff, you said Calder knows exactly what you're going to do, yeah?
Yeah, I'm gonna reach into my bag of tricks and pull out a bunch of animals.
Oh, I love it. Okay, I've got the bag of tricks available. I love how summoning shit into the battlefield is like all your go-to at this point.
No repeats. 11, 1, 5, 8, and 10.
Okay, one moment while I pull up the table.
Let me see. Do we have any repeats here?
New ones we've seen before.
Yeah.
11. Okay. So 11 is a bloodhawk, which begins sort of harrying the orcs and providing especially the aid action to the dwarves that are fighting on their side. So begins to make a menace of itself. The second one was a 1. It's Facebiter the Weasel.
Yay!
A 5 is a panther, so you've had that before, and the panther will also begin to make its way into the
Appropriately named.
ranks.
Appropriately named Noir.
The 8 is the giant elk again.
Yay!
And the giant elk is a
Uh,
huge creature, so tell me a little bit about how the
Uh,
giant elk interacts with the battlefield.
Just like when it like the fuzzball hits the ground and then just expands into the huge size giant elk, and just starts immediate because it behaves according to my wishes. It will like just start raking the ground with its antlers to like throw orcs to the side.
Orcs begin flying through the air, right? Like,
A large black cat is pouncing on things. Just an inexplicable, terrifying little weasel is just biting things.
and materializing on your shoulder, you hear a loud purring, and you kind of look to your right, and on your right shoulder is a tuxedo cat with a kind of irregular black splotch on the front of its face, sporting a pair of wings. Give me an Arcana check really quick. And tell me what the result is, because I'm not showing the board right now.
Oh,
23.
Excellent. So you are aware of what a tressym is. They are
Oh.
they are used for familiars on occasion. They're used in a lot of ways, but most of the time they do whatever the hell they please, whenever the hell they please. And you look over, and the name in your mind immediately makes itself clear. The splotch on its face looks very much like the ace of spades, but tilted. So you know that this Tressem's name is Blackjack.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Aw.
looks at you, and you look at it, and for the moment, he seems content just to chill on your shoulder. Although
I
at
have
the
no.
go ahead.
As we're flying on a broom, I have no reason to stop it.
This bitch of a cat can't not be in a D&D game.
The moment it becomes clear that your focus is elsewhere, he will nip at your ear.
Yeah, this feels familiar. I'll scratch. I'll scratch it gently as we fly.
Oh, he loves that shit. So that's you. Give me an animal handling, I guess. What would be appropriate here for you to add to the skill challenge?
If it's an intelligent creature, maybe just persuasion?
I'm willing to go with persuasion as well. A 13? Not bad. Not bad.
I'll see what I can do with spending one of my few remaining spell points. I'll go with the 20.
Excellent.
I'll go with the dirty 20 instead.
So yes, we will say that between the massive elk that is hurling orcs like 10, 20 feet into the air, between the panther that is tearing at things, between the blood eagle that just happens to be at the right place at the right time, distracting the enemy.
Its orders are simple. If you see an archer, go for the eyes.
And with that, you're able to cause a significant amount of chaos on the battlefield. Ghost, what are you up to? You are on a broomstick, which you didn't want, but there you are anyway. What is your play as this battle reaches its conclusion?
I mean, I'm assuming that Ghost is going to fucking 3-point land and do murder to people.
So I'm imagining like
Neo.
Neo,
Weirdly enough, one trick pony.
Neo in the second Matrix as he's fighting all the Smiths, right? You drop into the middle of the enemy.
Except it's a big ass hammer, but yeah.
And you end up with just this circle around you of orcs and werewolves that are not willing to approach you.
That's a good choice.
Because you have killed so many of them already. As you land and as you take your first several actions, they sort of begin to give you wide berth. How do you respond when they start giving you space? Are you letting them give you space, or are you gonna run into them?
I have ranged weapons and tavern brawler.
Give me. Let's go with an intimidation check. Although you really need to work on your performance because you're a gladiator. Give me an intimidation check and tell me what the result is. You can take, before you roll it, take a +2. These folks are already scared of you.
I would like to use my strength for this.
I'm okay with that, yeah.
I feel like I should be able to use my strength, my performance too, but that's me.
Oof. I mean, a 12.
But it's a skill check.
With a natural 1. A 12 is still
It's a skill
okay.
check.
Yeah, a 12 is still okay. So I'm not even going to hit the button because it's not an automatic fail. I will say that you land and you're able to, just through sheer, force, you're able to kill a bunch of enemies around you, but then they start to be cautious of you, and kind of as you move forward, they move back, kind of sort of thing. And you can actually use that to your advantage to sort of break up the enemy lines. It's not super duper effective, but it does increase the amount of chaos happening on the enemy side.
There is an aspect of in order to continue the rage, I will be using the ranged weapons at my at hand. And since I have Tavern Brawler, I can use improvised weapons, including the bodies of dead people who are near me.
Yeah.
Just chucking rocks and bodies.
Just throwing rocks and shit. I'm gonna keep attacking until there ain't nobody left.
Say more. What else does it look like as you're doing this? Are you just picking up bodies?
I figure, we're gonna land. We probably murder blood somebody. I'm probably bleeding from the fall. Let's be honest. This is the first actual damage that I take. But then it's somebody comes by us dead, and then they realize, oh, maybe we shouldn't, and then I'm and then I just start hucking bodies and whatever I can get my little grimy paws on.
Echo,
Also, I can move 40 feet around.
how
So
are
everybody's
you
split.
affecting the battle?
So as everybody splits, Kretha starts throwing down cards. Calder starts throwing down creatures. Namani throws themselves down.
And also other people.
And also other people. And Nightscale is circling around behind and doing that lay of acid, taking out those ballistas. Echo's going to cast Thaumaturgy on himself. It's not concentration. Actually, you should have had a plus D4 on that check because you were blessed.
Do the thing.
But so
That's
he Thaumaturgy, his voice is 3 times as loud as it normally is, and he just starts making this guttural yell to grab as much attention. And he's also going to bonus action light up the glowy tattoos. So bonus action light up the glowy tattoos, action disengage, and he is going to fly down to like 3 feet above the ground level and fly literally through the orcs and other people in his way because he can pass through solid objects while he's also disengaging. And he's going to fly through the front force, through the wall, up and land on top of it and shout out to the crowd, "Flee while you fucking can." As loud as he possibly can with Thaumaturgy.
What?
I would like to give the aid action to this.
Yes. What skill check do you think would be appropriate, Gale?
I'm going to do minor illusions to duplicate that sound at various intervals as the scene unfolds.
Gale, what skill check do you think would be appropriate for this action?
He is still trying to portray Barnabas, so I would say performance.
Okay, performance. Go ahead and take advantage, and because both Calder and Ghost are helping you out, take a +2 in addition to the advantage, please.
Okay. That 20, baby.
A 27, a natural 20?
Well timed.
Definitely the actor.
Not 20.
You tell me what this means, Gale. This is all you.
So he is shouting it in common, in orc, and in dwarven, just repeatedly, and he is glowing. He is giving off light in this space. Even through the illusion, it looks like Barnabas is lit up in golden light as the rays of dawn start casting the sky into fire behind him. And I would say a good half, if not everybody else, once half of it starts, half of the orcs break and run. Whether it's realizing that the night is over and they have not won, or seeing that display in front of them, they break and run.
I agree entirely. And they not only like break and retreat back to their staging ground, they break and flee into the forest. And the dwarves would love to pursue, but they have taken heavy casualties themselves. So instead, just a cheer goes up around the entire encampment, and the chant "Barnabas, Barnabas, Barnabas" begins
He's
to
going to have
echo
the biggest
over the
fucking
countryside.
It echoed over the country.
Ghost will pursue.
And Ghost will run after and take a few more down as they're fleeing, because some of them like trip and fall because Ghost is now the horror antagonist, and you'll be able to take a good solid half a dozen more enemies as they try to get away. But eventually, as the first rays of the sun begin to make their way over the mountains to the east, the enemies retreat, and the battle, as it is won. So let's talk a little bit.
Go ahead.
Calder will land. Calder will concentrate, channeling his very last spell into his ring. Take a long sigh and just sort of fall backwards onto something soft and pass out.
And seeming drops.
50-50 chance. Somebody roll dice real quick.
I'm doing it. Even odd. I got even.
Odd. Damn. Okay.
So, with the battle won and everyone dropping from exhaustion and adrenaline withdrawal, let's talk a little bit about the first things. What is the first thing? I'm going to ask each of you in turn. What is the very first thing that your character does when the dawn breaks? We already know that Jeff Calder passes the fuck out. Let's talk to Ghost. What do you do as your very first thing after the enemies have retreated beyond your ability to continue killing them, and as the battle is won, as the daylight begins to bathe the battlefield, what do you do?
I feel like Ghost is probably a solid mile into the woods at this point. Just like hasn't been able, like kept running after the rage ended type thing, and is just gonna find a stump to like lean, like to sit down on. Hammer head down in the ground, is just gonna like lean on it because it's only like a one-handed hammer. It's not like a big motherfucking hammer. He's gonna just like sit there, lean on it, and just go, why do they gotta be so fast? And then we'll just like, after like about 4 or 5 minutes, we'll just like pick himself up, put the hammer back in like the sling across his back, and trudge slowly back to camp.
Kretha.
Yes.
You have in your mind, first off, a dwarf that hates to fly, but you realize that over the last little bit, neither you nor he had any problem with flying. You were flipping cards onto the battlefield, and like neither of you had any issue with the flight. And Durgadin, in your mind, will say, "That was a battle well fought, Andoril. Well fought indeed."
It really was.
And what is Kretha gonna do in
Well,
the
first off,
moments?
Kretha is going to have stinky land because that potion only supposed to last an hour.
An hour? Yep. So as the potion begins to wear off, like you can feel the stuttering like a car running out of gas, and he's able to make his way to the ground, and you're able to disembark safely.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm.
Well. And does the seeming drop?
Yes.
Am I now? Okay, yeah.
Yes. The moment Calder passes out, the seeming drops, but none of the dwarves are looking at you, because at this point they're all looking at what was Barnabas and now Echo.
Is Echo.
Still glowing.
Everyone is looking at Echo, and you're able to sort of drop your Sven disguise without anybody really realizing.
Awesome. Does Echo look like Echo's going to once again like die?
Echo is beat to shit. Like half of his body is already like a dark bruise, and the other is like splattered with blood, green blood, so you know it's his.
All right.
Like,
So I guess my
looks
first spot is to actually muscle my way through the crowd and get up to Echo and cast well, I guess healing word, because I don't have cure wounds. I just have healing word.
Don't bother rolling any dice. What is the word that you use?
She's going to use,
like, what word do you say to enact the spell?
She's going to use the goblin word for rest.
I love it. Echo, it's not the dialect that you're used to, but you recognize the word. It's like a Spanish person hearing someone speaking in Italian, but it works.
I think it's a bit closer like Spanish and Portuguese, but yeah.
Also fair. So Echo, you lose the disguise as all eyes are looking at you, and everyone sees the image of Barnabas, seemingly untouched, dissolve into the image of a much beleaguered but victorious goblin monk. What do you do?
I think Echo takes a moment. Like, he's standing on the very, like, front of the wall looking at what was the middle of the battleground. And he looks at the just strewn with corpses battlefield in front of him. And he, without his normal grace, scrambles and jumps off of the wall, down, and he starts getting to the closest body. It's probably an orc. And he starts trying to see if they're alive.
And as
Like,
you do so,
he doesn't seem to be caring about all of these dwarves that are looking at him in awe.
Barnabas will step out of the crowd and begin firing off orders. Like, find those that can be saved, and those that can't be saved, ensure that they won't be used against us. Because we have corpse flowers still among us. Make sure that any bodies that are actually dead cannot be brought back. And for a moment, like, the entire dwarven assembly holds its breath and then goes about their business. But for a moment, their sole focus is on Echo as he immediately goes and performs his act of mercy. So let's say that time passes. We'll say that everyone gets their rest, so go ahead and take a long rest. I know some of you have been waiting for that for so long. And also, as part of that long rest, please level up to 10 if you have not yet. But we'll talk about that in the post-show.
I'm going to have to do that, like,
Post
during my...
Yes. But we still have time, so we're not going to the post-show anytime just yet. Let's talk a little bit about what happens after the fact. Okay?
Yeah.
So the battle is won, but the casualties were many. Yeah? And as everyone begins to sort of start taking care of the wounded and the dead, and as everyone eventually finds their way to sleep, whether they like it or not, let's talk about the late afternoon when folks begin waking up feeling like you have the worst hangover you've ever felt in your life. And I want to know, it's not the next day, right? Because it was dawn. It's the same day.
Yeah.
And the business of the camp is going about. Like, the bodies are being cleared away. They're being dealt with. Those who need to be burned are being burned, that sort of thing.
Probably just as he's waking up from his passed out the fuck nap, Calder receives a sending. Because you're not attuned to your protection thing anymore. You swapped it out for the staff.
Correct.
So you hear in your head a familiar voice of a human wizard who says to you, let me find it. I wrote it out, so it was only 25 words. All right. It's Charlotte speaking in your head, saying, "All survived the night here, have captured 2 were-orcs. Mastermind behind the blight is Belak the Outcast. He was here and repelled. How did y'all fare?"
Calder, give me an Arcana check really quick. There's something that you caught at the corner of your eye, and I want to see if you identified it. I'm not showing the table, so tell me what you get.
It's a perception, you said?
Arcana, please.
Arcana, okay.
Yeah, you saw the thing. The question is whether or not you recognized it.
16.
A 16. So as you were flying over the orcs, and it's all a blur now, right? Like the last couple of hours of the night are kind of a blur, but you recognized a pack of were-boars. And at the back of the were-boars, you remember, now that you think about it, you weren't really paying attention at the time, but now that you think about it, you realize you saw a tall, like, boar ape-like creature. And with a 16, I will say that you are able to put a name to the type of creature, and it gives you a chill. it didn't seem to engage in the combat. You didn't see it change the flow of anything, but you know that you saw a Nalfishni, a mid to high level demon that was apparently leading a pack of wereboars. You don't know where it went. It's clearly not here now, but you definitely know there was a demon among the enemy last night, and you just didn't recognize it at the time because of everything.
You can also reply to the sending.
And you can also reply to the sending.
To the sending, he'll answer. The battle is won. Great casualties. Everyone cared about is fine. Like it's like, yeah, lots of casualties. No one that we need, no one that we, but no one that we like.
Mm-hmm.
Nalfishni spotted. Night scale preserved. Barnabas badass. He's writing his mind.
I imagine like Calder like just woke up and is trying to like count words as he's talking.
No, he's literally trying to tweet. It's amazing.
You only have 80 characters. Go.
I know, it's so obnoxious.
9 more words.
9 more words. Okay.
Don't have that many fingers.
Checking forge. I think that was suitably vague. Victory, not rout.
And then 2 more words if you want. 3 more words if you want. 4. I'm a math teacher.
Some numbers.
It's my words, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Anton dead?
Perfect.
All right.
Love it. Excellent.
Like an obvious question mark at the end of it.
Dead?
Speaking
But he
of
says
which,
the last 2 words are question mark.
Question mark.
speaking of which, so as like the camp is coming back under order and everybody is sort of figuring out what's going on. Assuming everyone sort of gets together, Barnabas and Sven will be approached by Dream, the bard.
Uh-huh.
And that's one of sort of the first things. And Dream, to Barnabas, but with anybody else listening, will recount the tale of what happened, of Anton's decision to instead go after the main enemy instead of leading the charge. And
Calder will interrupt whatever telling with, called it!
From a mile away.
And most of Dream's recounting will be as I described earlier. However, at the very end, where everyone was about to charge the enemy, in Dream's version, Chomper and Tarl, they went to attack, but Anton, he just stayed back. He just stood there and watched as my friends were killed, and he very clearly has a difficult time saying the thing he's about to say. I don't know if he was in communication before, but I think Anton defected.
Insight?
he joined abso-fucking-lutely.
What is Dream
I'll
Tingle
still
here?
check that. Yeah, that scans.
And he just got a. So yeah, no, it's like Puss in Boots with the big doughy eyes, right? Like you believe every single word that he says, and he is so distraught to have to tell you that Anton must have been in league from the beginning, because he brought some of the most powerful warriors that you had. He brought them to Morgenthau. He is, by the way, able to describe Morgenthau as a two-headed ogre mage that clearly has both wizard and clerical powers, one for each head. So you get a general idea of who Morgenthau is, but like Anton was, he drew us there, and I'm only glad that I got away with my life. It was terrifying, and Anton was so convincing. It was so obvious that he wanted to kill this thing, but the moment the attack happened, he just let it happen, and then he went off with one of Morgenthau's subordinates, and I can only assume that he's joined the enemy, and I'm so sorry to have to be the one to bring this news to you.
I mean, I can't say that that's not something we would do. Anton's a very fair weather ally. He will go with whatever side he believes will be victorious.
I'm waiting for anybody else who wants to intercede or interject.
As Dream, to an extent, it's like he knew exactly where we were going. He was leading us there.
That's what leaders do. But
like we were just a sacrifice.
Where did this all happen? Was it a specific spot?
I'm gonna
deep in enemy lines.
Em, why don't you go ahead and take this?
So there was this tall tree. It was kind of like gnarled. There was like these like shiny bits in them, and this two-headed ogre was standing there and like chanting, and it just, everyone, like we were all planning, we all moved around in this circle, like we were going to attack from multiple angles to try to get good things. And then as the other two rushed forward, and I watched him step back, and then I decided to not run forward because I could see that a trap. You know, Chomper, he's not exactly the smartest tool in the bunch.
Calder will look over at Echo at the tree's description.
What? This tree with shiny things in it. I'm not a very good artist. Calder, can you make an image or something of what? I
will put up a hand and make an illusion of the tree.
A much smaller Gulthias tree, yes. It's definitely absolutely the same tree, just much, much smaller when Calder shows it.
Yeah, like that, except taller than the trees. These trees. And Dream will point at the treetops around.
Another thrice damned Gulthias tree.
It was like about twice the size of that one. It was huge.
Camera cuts to outside the tent and like the shout of "Motherfucker!" A bunch of birds fly away.
But how would no one survived that was working with Belloc in the Sunless Citadel that would have any knowledge of it? It's
Belloc's alive.
What?
I received a sending this morning. I haven't had the chance to share anything yet. Belloc appeared at Hyacinth's place.
But before I left, there was this like the tree kind of like untwisted a little bit, and then this kind of creepy old guy that smelled bad that like stepped out. Like, oh my gosh, it was so bad. It was
I will conjure an illusion of Belloc.
It does not look anything. He does so.
Yeah.
Dream, you do not recognize the illusion that Calder brings forth. The man that you
No, it
saw
was-
was withered and
Yeah.
thin,
It
and
was kind of more
but
like
now
a,
that you
like
look at
a
it,
stringy corpse made out of tree bits.
but now that you look at it, like there are some features there. There are some features there that like it could be, maybe, but I don't know, like, but maybe.
I
Could
mean,
these
like,
features be explained? Could these features be explained by I will make an image of me crushing, of what Belloc looked like when I was crushing him?
I mean, yeah, it does kind of look like it got strung, like it got like pulled, like or stretched, you know?
Or say squeezed,
I guess.
or like say squeezed like a can.
Yeah,
You-
yeah.
I will allow the. I will just.
Maybe?
I'm just gonna keep firing the illusion. Just play out like scanned images of watching Belloc be pulped and then dragged underground.
This is a little bit disturbing, and not great for me. Cool, but like it's a little much. But yeah, like he stepped out of the tree. Oh goodness, Morgenthau said something about. Well, he said something. I can't remember what he said, Rob. I'm assuming that James probably could remember it though.
Yes. What are you referring to?
When Morgenthau like greeted him.
Oh yeah. So the way Dream would tell it is that Anton will have greeted the outcast and they went somewhere together. Like you didn't see what exactly happened, but you saw that they went somewhere together. Dream is obviously keeping as close to the truth as possible.
And Morgan, this creature called Morgenthau, master, like it was like a servant of, like I don't know if that like the two-headed ogre, like there was definitely some arcane writing on one of the heads, like kind of carved in a little bit. And he's gonna close his eyes and kind of like just try to revisualize it. And then the other one was wearing like a holy symbol. So I'm thinking maybe it's like a
What symbol?
you know,
Was it the Eye of Grumsh?
Yes, it was.
yeah.
I'll produce the image of the Abgrumsh.
Yeah, that's what you saw around Thal's neck.
Oh, yes.
Cute.
So Belloc is alive, and he's
Yep, I
upgraded.
guess.
He's upgraded from goblins to orcs.
If he's also kind of like in the line of power, he's not like at the top though. He's like kind of like a middle management.
Subordinate.
And I guess he made his
I suppose
creepy ass tree again. I guess
there's another factor.
that's another factor.
It was part of the confusion last night as we were wrapping. I did see something, and it took me a moment to remember what, to recall the details. But I believe I saw a Nalfishni last night in the combat.
What?
A very powerful, high-ranked demon.
Here, just a demon on this plane.
Yes, and not just a run-of-the-mill demon. Something powerful, something with authority. I'll have to consult some sort of codex to try and determine what its motivations could be, but I definitely saw a thing that was not supposed to be there. And it wasn't summoned, it wasn't beckoned, it wasn't fighting, it was leading.
Did the
So
fruit?
it means that
Did the tree have fruit on it?
Out of sight. The tree was too tall. You don't know.
I didn't climb it. It was so tall. I don't know if does it produce fruit like not in the boughs?
the old Gulthias tree produced fruit twice a year. Some of them did magical, amazing things, and some of them did
We should make
horrible things.
this thing is a threat. We should make it a priority target.
That's a great idea. The tree was creepy as shit, and I think I heard somebody say something about like shambling plants or something. If this is all connected, it's not a good idea. We should probably deal with this as soon as possible.
You need to someone grab a map. Tell us where the tree was.
I'll try to give them as much information locationally as I could.
We're going to go ahead and sort of fade out this scene as folks are planning and strategizing, and we'll figure that out for future sessions. Let's go ahead and move towards the evening, where a lot of you are sort of still restless, right? You did sleep most of the day. But at some point, Echo will receive a note delivered by one of the shield dwarves that Barnabas would like a quick conference. How does Echo respond to that?
He thanks the shield dwarf for the message, and Echo finishes up. I would just assume that he's spending most of his time since waking back up again, ritually casting gentle repose on as many corpses as he can.
Totally.
So he'll finish up the corpse he was working on. Thank him. He chooses to go change out of the bloody clothes he's wearing and then goes and finds Barnabas.
Priorities.
He's not only covered in blood at that point, he was also covered in like corpse gunk. So and yeah, wherever he was directed that Barnabas was waiting to talk to him.